Questions and answers. I get so many questions on the property management business from homeowners who are seeking out my services. And I want to share some of those questions and some of those answers with you guys, so stay tuned. Hey guys, Rich Farmer here at Krc Realty and Property Management. Today I'm doing property management question and answers. I get questions all the time and want to share those with you. So the first question I want to share with you guys today that I received from someone who was looking for our services. They called me up and they're like, hey Rich, got a question for you. We're thinking about hiring a management company and this is one of the things we're dealing with. I'm like, shoot. They're like, we have a rental house. We rent it to a family. My husband helped the tenant move in a washer, a wash machine into the laundry room, and noticed that the tenant had defective hoses, and they over time the hoses had leaked onto the sheetrock. Basically, they handed the property over with just the hose bibs, and they brought their own stuff. They're like, can we deduct the cost of this from the security deposit, and then send them a 30-day notice to the tenant to reinstate that amount? Well, the answer to that question is you can serve a 3-day notice to perform and quit. So a 30-day notice is a little bit different. So you need to make sure you're using the right notice. We have 3-day notices to cure, 3-day notices to cure and quit, 3-day notice to evict, 30-day notices. So there's all types of notices out there. Be sure you're using the right one. But so you can serve a 3-day notice to perform conditions and covenants. Quit. That would require the tenant make the repairs. So you do the 3-day covenant, cure and quit. You're going to tell the tenant they have to make the repairs. They have 3 days to do that. If they do not comply with the notice, then you can proceed with an eviction if you want to. I probably wouldn't evict over the drywall. That's not that big of a deal. Or alternatively, you can deduct the costs from the security deposit when they move out. So 3-day notice to cure or quit. The only time you would do a 3-day notice to pay rent is for rent. You never do a 3-day notice to pay rent because they broke something or they damaged something. You're going to go all the way through the court system and the judge is going to go, you gave us the wrong notice. So make sure you got the right notice. Rent notice is rent notice. Covenant, cure, or quit is anything other than rent. And then if you don't want to evict after the 3 days, which you probably wouldn't want to do, if they're paying rent, you want to get that rent over an eviction, but then you can deduct the replacement of the drywall when they move out. All right, let's move on to question number 2. I've heard that if a tenant is using drugs at a property, the landlord can be charged on a drug charge. Is this true? That's the second question that I've received. The answer is a landlord can be cited for maintaining a drug-related nuisance if he or she does not take responsible steps to remove the illegal drug activity from the property. Local enforcement agencies have to notify the landlord of the nuisance. So basically, the short answer is no. The landlord cannot be held on drug-related issues, but the landlord is responsible for correcting an issue if it is brought to their attention, and they can be cited for the drug-related nuisance on the property. So if someone comes to you, then you're a landlord, and you're like, hey, someone's doing this in the property, and just make sure you act on it. Because you don't want to get yourself in trouble. Question number 3. A tenant called one of the property owner and claims that an attorney told her that since she did quit after she was given a 3-day notice to quit, vacate, she is not responsible for the balance of the rent for the rest of that month. Is that correct? California law is very specific. Just because you quit, if you don't pay rent, and on the 5th of the month, I give you a 3-day notice to quit, and by the 8th, you're out. That doesn't mean from the 8th to the end of the month or until I get it rented that you're off the hook. So the attorney was wrong. If I can't believe an attorney gave her that advice, that's probably what she was saying. But the attorney is wrong in that situation. The tenant is wrong in that situation. The landlord can go after the tenant for any damages until they get that property re-rented. Unless it's a month-to-month. If it's a month-to-month, they're only good for that month. But let's say they rented out the property in July, or this occurred in July, and the lease goes until the end of the year. Well, if they don't get it rented out until the end of September or the middle of August, then that tenant is responsible for rents up until the time they get it rented. So that's very important as well. So the tenant is on the hook until you get it rented. If it's a month-to-month, they're only responsible for that month. If they're on a year lease, they're responsible until you get it rented, as long as you're trying to actively rent it for the same price that the tenant was paying. You can't raise the rents by $500 and say, well, I can't get it rented, so you're still on the hook. No, you can't do that. The law is pretty specific to that as well. It has to be actively marketed for the same price that the tenant was paying if you want to hold that tenant to the terms. Question number 4. Let's dive into this. I had someone ask me, is the legal age of a leaseholder over 18 or over 17? Because I had someone who was 17 years of age and they wanted to sign the lease. The legal age to contract in California, including leases, is 18 or over. However, the underage person, if the underage person is emancipated or has been married in active duty or by court order, he or she does have the ability to enter into a contract. So emancipation is everything. If that person is married under the age of 18, if they have been in the military or court orders, if they've been adopted and they decide they want to be on their own at age 17, there is a workaround for that. Make sure you have that. That's very important. Why is it important? Because if you allow someone to sign a lease at the age of 17 and they beat the hell out of the property or they don't pay rent and you take them to court, the first thing they're going to say is, Your Honor, I was 17 when I signed this, and the judge is going to go, is that true? And they're going to say, okay, this case is dismissed because he legally couldn't have entered into that contract. Question 5. I'm evicting a married couple. My attorney says that we have served the lawsuit on the wife personally. That means you knock on the door. Hello, Mrs. A, yes, here you go. And the husband by substitute service. What does that mean, and does it make a difference? What is substitute service? Can't find the husband. So what do? You go to the husband's employment and, hi, does Rich Farmer work here? Yes, he does. Great. What's your name? Oh, my name's Becky. Becky, this is for Rich. Perfect. Process server served me substitutely by giving it to someone at my employment. So a lawsuit for unlawful detainer can be served either personally or by substitute service by giving a copy of the lawsuit to a person at least 18 years of age at the subject property or the usual place of employment for a defendant. A personal service is completed as of the date of delivery. Of substitute service is completed days after by both delivery and mailing. So what you want to do if you do the substitute service, not only do you personally want to do that, then you want to mail a copy to their address as well. The courts will consider that effective service 10 days after. Because they're giving the defendant who's being substitutely serviced, they're giving him 10 days to respond going, I never got this. Well, they're going to go, yeah, but you got it by mail. So you always want to make sure you just can't personally serve it to Becky at the office, whoever's sitting at the front desk or whoever's there. You also need to mail a copy to. Okay, anyways, that's 5 questions. Figured I'd run them by you guys and share. I have hundreds of these that I've taken over the years, so I'd love to share them with you guys. If this is something you like, click the like button, and I'll share 5 of these every week or so with you guys and see if you guys like these questions and answers on property management. It'll help a lot of people out that are trying to self-manage, and that's our goal here, is to help you out. Rich Farmer, Krc Realty.